Welcome to my course, the Internet Economy, and the first chapter where we will talk about information and the characteristics of information. And as always with teachers, I start off with some definitions, and the definitions set the ground, they define, they describe what we are talking about. So give us a framework. Now, first of all, I would like to make a difference between knowledge and information in a sense that knowledge in particular cannot always be codified. I'm sure you're aware that tacit information, tacit knowledge exists, and it can be also very valuable. If you're asking, for example, somebody how does he, for example, cook, or make something with his hands, or how he does his work, you will find that it is very, very difficult sometimes to describe. This knowledge which cannot be described and which therefore cannot be put into code is referred to as tacit knowledge. On the other hand, when I talk about information in this context, I refer to something which can be codified. It can be written as data, it can be written as bytes, zeros, and ones. And therefore, one example of this was I was watching the recent Oscar Gala, and they had actors performing, and actually these actors, they had sensors on their face, and these sensors were coding each move of their face, and then the face was in an animation moved to a animal, a ape, or a dragon. It is the point here is that it is surprising to what extent things in our surrounding environment really can be codified and put into bits. A third thing which I would like to point out here is information asymmetries. With asymmetry, it means that it is not symmetrical. It means that somebody has more information than somebody else. In the early days of the information age, of the information society, there was a understanding or a misconception, and I was also thinking this way, that in the information society, everything would be open, all information would be available, and therefore perfect markets would exist. To some extent, I have been surprised that in reality, the information society is all about the art of keeping a secret. You should not be asking what information is open. You should be asking what is the particular secret of a particular company. For example, Google will not disclose the exact way their search engine works. That is their trade secret. Netflix will not disclose what their recommendation system is. No company will disclose what their customer base is. So in the information society, information asymmetries do exist, and that is one of the core ways of earning and within the information society. Then some other definitions which I would like to add to this. One is the definition of sunk cost. When you make an investment, either you build a building or you invest, like you're investing in your education, you are putting time and money into it, and when you're making the investment, you're not getting any income. And this is referred to as a sunk cost. And this will lead to pricing challenges. A very simple example of this is that imagine you have a boat going from Finland to Tallinn or from Finland to Sweden. There are sunk costs involved in the boat moving from one country to another. The boat, the manager of the boat will know that it will cost him maybe 100,000 to drive the boat. And then he's thinking, how many customers does he have on board? And basically he could be giving those tickets free so that people would spend money on the board and he would recover some of those sunk costs. In economics, there is also a well-known principle of marginal cost. Marginal cost refers to basically the variable costs. In other words, how much does an individual unit cost to manufacture? It does not take into account the cost of making the factory. It's just the immediate cost of reproducing one unit. And in the information society, the marginal cost is a very, very particular challenge. And I will talk about that later on. Also within the information society, we talk a lot about, and literature talks a lot about, brick and click, or bricks and clicks. It refers to a combination of physical and information assets. In many cases, companies are not pure information companies like Google or Facebook, which are pure information companies, but they are a combination of physical assets on the one hand and information assets on the other hand. A school would be a great example of this. We have buildings, classrooms, and so forth. But then on the other hand, we have online platforms, electronic libraries, and so forth. So we are a brick and click institution.